I, a 27-year-old woman, am married to my 28-year-old husband for 2 years. Our sleeping arrangement is peculiar. I have always had trouble sleeping through the night, and am a very light sleeper. I have trouble falling asleep quickly. Occasionally, the smallest sound wakes me up and I have to start over. On the other side, my spouse kicks so hard in his sleep that he turns into a kind of Taekwondo Prodigy. Any attempts to break him of this behavior have failed. He has been like this since he was a child. He doesn't even know that he's sleeping like a rock. He occasionally speaks while he sleeps as well. My sleep is really important to me because I have a profession that requires me to get up really early. We tried sleeping in the same bed when we initially moved in together, but that didn't work out. I was so worn out. He felt so bad about it, even though it wasn't intentional. We ultimately made the decision to sleep in different rooms. We know that not everyone sleeps the same way, so we're not at all upset with one another. Our intimacy hasn't changed in the slightest. We still spend a lot of time watching films or other media together while we lie in one of the beds. As long as I don't have to go to work in the morning, I'm okay with us occasionally falling asleep in the same bed. Although a little unconventional, this is what functions for us. Layla, my 32-year-old sister, and her spouse are going through a difficult time in their marriage. Her husband is, in my opinion, a massive moron. He betrayed her, claiming inanely that he did it because she was not meeting his requirements and was ignoring him. They have 3 children, which keeps her quite busy. He doesn't assist her. When she informed me she was sticking with him even after the affair was made public, I was taken aback. I attempted to reason with her, but she instructed me to mind my own business, so I complied. They currently attend marital counseling. It's not going well, based on what Layla has told me. He doesn't even make an effort to become a better husband. She has been attempting to alter in order to mend their relationship. He only fires off a half-baked apology to defend his behavior. I detest him, but as a mature woman, she has the right to stay. She is obviously sad, but her response to the entire situation is peculiar as well. She firmly believes that she is solely to blame. All of this could have been avoided if she had just given him more attention. She doesn't. Listen to me when I try to tell her that's not true. She stopped by our flat the other day so I could see my nieces and we could talk. She's actually never come to my flat before. My spouse was at work. I generally just go visit them because she and her husband live in a big, nice house. She claimed she would have liked to come to my flat, given how tense things are right now. My husband's separate bedroom door was opened by one of my nieces, who mistook it for the bathroom door. Upon noticing that it was inhabited, she inquired about if we had found a roommate. I told her the quick review of the circumstances and said no. She didn't say anything until my nieces were all watching a movie in the living room, even though she appeared a little strange. She started asking strange questions about our relationship, our private life, etc. I responded that we were doing great and that she shouldn't have to answer some of her personal inquiries. Then she became a little irritable and stated she was only attempting to assist me. My husband might easily leave with another woman if I didn't listen to his wants and kept him out of my bedroom. Despite any sleep problems, she advised me to exercise caution and that it would be best to sleep in a single bed. I became irritated because she was transferring her predicament onto me, and it wasn't even about the bedrooms anymore. She even stated, "You have to keep an eye on him constantly so he won't feel the need to leave you for someone more attentive." I was additionally offended that she would imply that my spouse would cheat on me due to her lack of attentiveness. It was her husband, not me, who was the cheating moron, I added forcefully, snapping. She doesn't have the right to criticize and mentor me just because her marriage is failing. That infuriated her so much that she got up and hurried to the living room to get her girls and head home. She won't pick up when I call, and in her one text, she said that she was merely attempting to be helpful and that I shouldn't be shocked if my husband cheats. Although offended as well, my spouse claimed to understand. She is presently going through a really difficult period. He said I should have just let her get her paranoid outburst out of her system and moved on, saying I was being a little too harsh. She's probably just having trouble thinking clearly because her mental state isn't that great. My mother concurs with him. I shouldn't have spoken something so personal. But she said Layla was acting strangely and insensitively. Screaming at her will just make her turn away from us and towards her naive spouse. Now that she's not thinking straight, I feel horrible because I should have just moved on. Am I the foolish one? Not the fool. She is definitely projecting. Her notion that her husband had a good motive to cheat is destroyed if you and your spouse carry on as a happy pair. She'll question how you two can be happy if you break the rules, and she can't seem to make it work when she does. She cannot have her pride crushed by something like this. Given that misery loves company, it is evident that you are not in a successful relationship, and she only needs you to know this. The mother and husband seem to be right on. The sister should be in treatment because of her unsettling thought process. The sister and her husband's positions sound like what religious counseling would espouse. Thus, I have a suspicion that it's not a real therapist. The sister was incorrectly projecting and persuading herself to be OP. It is not the fault of OP to become enraged at such remarks. I disagree. Your mother and spouse are incorrect. You had no business just standing there and taking her crap. In all honesty, she should apologize to you for the hurtful things she spoke about you and your spouse. You owe her nothing. She says it's none of your concern and wants you to butt out of her marriage, but then she digs into yours like a tick in a dog's ear. Stay away from her. Don't act as her punching bag. Update. Did I really tell my sister that her marriage was collapsing and not mine? I sincerely appreciate all of your suggestions. My sister and I had a rather emotional incident last night. My mom called before I could leave, asking me to come over. I was starting to get nervous and was just going to go to her house to apologize and attempt to move on. When I got there, I was shocked to see my sister crying while carrying her girls and suitcase. We had some difficulty understanding her, because she was still crying and in a state of great distress. We eventually deduced the cause of the incident. She simply left her husband's house earlier that day after he said something so disgusting. Prior to that, she gave him a drink before leaving to do some washing and tidy the kitchen. Entering the room, her eldest daughter quickly settled herself on the couch next to her dad to watch a movie. He chuckled and made some stupid remark about how she should enjoy her free time now, as it would all come to an end when she got married. He pointed to my sister and said, "Look at your mom, for example. Great right now, but we almost divorced when she neglected her wifely duties. You should just be like her now all the time and skip the drama." My sister was devastated by this and departed within an hour. My niece had questioned why. He stated she'll be home soon and didn't pursue them. She's still tense and reserved, but at least she's not with her foolish husband anymore, which is a relief. I'm really sad to learn of your sister's predicament. Leaving a harmful situation requires bravery, so I'm delighted she has your support. The difficult part is about to begin. She has to take a seat and write down everything he said, as precisely as she can recall it, along with any other remarks he's made along these lines. She should hire legal counsel. For the children, I would suggest a counselor who can investigate any more remarks made by their father to them or in front of them. She will want every advantage she can get to secure complete physical custody and restricted visitation when the divorce and custody dispute arises. Definitely provide her support and aid in her self-reconstruction. Did anyone question this guy if he was fulfilling his spousal responsibilities, such as ensuring his wife was content and well cared for? This guy is ridiculous. No woman should ever put up with a lazy, naive, misogynistic man-baby again. It seems that the sister had a major epiphany because, up until then, she had been setting a poor example for her own children. All the best for the future to everyone, with the exception of the soon-to-be ex-brother-in-law, who can go stew in his ignorance. He's going to discover that in order to pay child support and alimony, he needs a job. My parents promised to host an engagement celebration for my 4-year partner and me. We recently became engaged. They want to give my sister and I a joint engagement party, even though they are covering all the costs. My sister's non-engagement presents a small issue for me. Her boyfriend, with whom she has been dating for a decade and a half, presented her with a promise ring soon after my engagement. Everyone thinks it's stupid and ridiculous, my sister and our parents excluded, because we're all in our late 20s and early 30s. Over the years, my sister and I have had numerous conversations that have boiled down to, look, if you wanted to marry you, he would. Nevertheless, she stuck with him and never gave up, and judging from the way she treats the promise ring, I assume she saw it as a close enough gesture. Are you guys engaged? My fiancée asked her boyfriend, who was as perplexed, and he said categorically that they weren't. Still, my sister is putting together a wedding planning book and presenting the ring to everyone. Although I do feel awful for her, I also believe that she is an adult, and I shouldn't have to let this. For me, the phrase, "don't forget about sister, make sure sister is included," has always applied. So I was hoping that, if nothing else, my engagement would be personal. I would much rather not participate in this strangeness than have an engagement party at all. My parents are berating me for being so self-centered as to wish to keep my sister out of the celebration. But my fiancé would rather have an odd party than none at all. It's not a promise ring, it's a shut-up ring. It's not her party, yet she's not left out. Where does it finish? Going to the wedding in a white dress? Join us on the honeymoon? She will be able to carry out her plan if your parents allow it. This is the moment to draw your line in the sand. It is not you who is the fool. A promise ring is obviously a shut-up ring, and he has no intention of ever marrying her. Therefore, I always shudder a little when I hear of someone older than 17 receiving one. Rinse and repeat when the visitors say the same to your sister and her boyfriend. Ask your parents what they will say when the guests congratulate them on your sister's engagement and her boyfriend responds, "We're not engaged. We're not engaged, but congrats on your engagement." This is a clear-cut plot to get the boyfriend to pop the question at the party. Thus, all it will accomplish is make the guy dump your sister. Your sister and parents are basically making a fool of themselves. My sister, my fiancé, and I will be the honored guests at the engagement celebration, while her boyfriend will remain at home, according to my parents' sincere plan. It will appear as though your fiancé is getting married to both of you in a sister-wife fashion. I need to know who will think this is a good idea, so please invite me. And to be really honest, has anyone considered what this will mean for your sister? People will want to examine the engagement promise ring and inquire as to the whereabouts of her fiancé. You sure your folks aren't attempting to make her feel inferior? I vow not to utter a word, so please invite me as well. I'll bring my own refreshments and take a seat in the corner. All I want to watch is the train wreck that this will unavoidably become. Really, though, cancel everything. Declare that you wish to join no party at all or that you don't want to join the party. Your fiancé is only supporting the most exciting option. He doesn't give a damn about the drama or the party. Before you know it, you two will be getting married together. Keep this from happening. This summer, I acquired a house, so for once I was able to host Thanksgiving for my family instead of working. It was my mother, my brothers Dave and Bill, and Yvonne, Dave's wife. Dave told Yvonne he wanted a divorce while we were having supper. Dave stated he would hold off on telling Yvonne until he could take it no longer, but Yvonne was clearly angry. Depending on who you ask, Yvonne believes Dave may be cheating on her, which is why she filed for divorce. Dave believes he's come to terms with his sexual orientation. Thanksgiving dinner is not, in my opinion, the right time to inform your husband that you want a divorce. Dave believes that because it was my first time hosting a holiday, I'm being overly sensitive. It complicated everything, even after Yvonne left. He called me a phobic and a horrible sister. Not for calling me a lousy sister, but for calling me that. He later apologized. I'm asking outsiders who weren't present and aren't emotionally invested in their thoughts. Was I being a fool to suggest to Dave that Thanksgiving wasn't the right time to inform Yvonne that he wanted a divorce? Is my anger towards him justified? I should also mention that Dave's sexual orientation is accepted by all members of my family. Dave may not be the stupid, but he sure is. It's unpleasant to inform someone you want a divorce on a holiday in front of your family. Dave ought to have spoken to his wife alone during that exchange rather than in front of others. Dave behaved immaturely in this circumstance. Well, it's possible that he is gay and unfaithful, but you're right, especially with his family around, it's not the appropriate moment or place for a private discussion. Your brother was really hurtful and blatantly inappropriate. I'm very terrible for Yvonne. He's such a bigot, and he's using his fear as an excuse. It is just common sense and politeness to refrain from acting in such a manner. It is not a phobia. That is the most plausible scenario. By concentrating on the gender of his new companion, Dave is attempting to deflect criticism for his infidelity. It makes sense that Yvonne is more worried about the infidelity than the orientation of the affair partner. One time, my husband and I saved up a large sum of money to eat at a posh restaurant in our neighborhood. We were excited for our date night and got dressed to the nines. The man standing next to us requested a divorce from his spouse. I'd never felt dining so painful, uncomfortable, or embarrassing, especially after she started getting noisy and ordering more drinks. However, I think it would have been far worse during a family meal. OP, what on earth was your brother thinking? The standard is so low, Jesus, and he still succeeded in limboing beneath it. Your brother is a cowardly child and an idiot. I'm still getting over the emotional fallout from giving delivery, and I'm not feeling well. Everything seems so incredibly ridiculous. I've been dating my fiancé for 5 years now. Before we started dating, I already had children, and he's always been great with them. After learning we were expecting a child, we had lived in our previous flat for 5 years. A few months later, he began construction on our first house. Many things have been delayed or rescheduled because of permissions. Therefore, the house won't be ready for another 2 months or so. Our lease expired 2 months ago, so we asked the landlord if we could move in on a month-to-month basis until our house was complete, but they refused because they needed to remodel. We were forced to leave, but we had nowhere to stay but an extended-stay hotel. We have now spent 2 months here. The infant was born just prior to our move-in. My fiancé stated that since there would be less to move, he didn't want to bring anything to the hotel that we didn't need to. So for 3 weeks, all we had in this place were the kids' tablets and their clothes. However, my fiancé then began bringing an increasing amount of his belongings here, including his gaming PC, Xbox, keyboard, guitars, recording equipment, and music equipment. It's occupying a lot of room. Even though it has 2 bedrooms, he is still against our having possessions here. My kids are getting agitated because they are bored. I moved deeply. I begged and cajoled him several times before I eventually got him to take the kids' Xbox and VR out of storage. Not thrilled about it. He was within 2 days making every excuse he could think of for the kids not being able to play them, like, "I'm tired of hearing you guys fight over it." One day, he ended up bringing the Xbox and VR to work and putting them back in storage without informing me. In any case, I ultimately left. I informed him that, given that all of his fun stuff was here while the kids and I had nothing, he was self-centered and hypocritical. He claimed that because he doesn't argue with the kids over his poop, it's different. He's been attempting to make me feel bad when I'm at my mom's. Am I acting foolishly here? Therefore, he doesn't mind moving a lot of his entertainment equipment, yet he finds it bothersome when the kids quarrel. Therefore, God forbid, he does the same for the kids so they can pass the time as he does. Not only is this a terrible position for him, but he should know better than to act like a child and realize that children grow restless when they are bored for extended periods of time. Furthermore, resist the need to allow his passive-aggressive remarks guilt trip you. A place where you may enjoy amusement and peace of mind is something you and your kids deserve. Your fiancé is acting like a moron. You are worthy of better. Thank God, lady. Why are you marrying this tool? It is impossible for you to be the idiot. Your fiancé is very controlling when it comes to your children. Although I acknowledge that he is your fiancé, that still doesn't give him the right to arbitrarily rule your and your children's lives. Given that your children are not his, it's likely that you are unaware of his mistreatment of them. You can see it directly now that you're in a small area. As the baby gets older, things will get worse.